Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Wednesday, November 10th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts as a trader, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Real quick before I get started, I also want to note that if you're interested in liking what you see as I go through the video and you're wanting to learn more about technical analysis and how it can be used as a tool to build consistency as a trader, then I want to personally invite you to sign up for this live online class that I'm offering here soon. So if you're watching on YouTube, then there's a link down in the description box you can click on. Or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage where you can click to sign up. So just keep that in your mind, and if you're liking what you see, then definitely get signed up for the class. First one here, ticker symbol PLTR, and this will apply to everything, so I'll just say it right now that I'll be using the 30-minute time frame. So all that means is instead of each one of these candlesticks representing 1 day's worth of time, which is what you would normally see, each one represents 30 minutes. So just keep that in mind going forward. And PLTR, with the earnings, just not a good day at all. That opening 30 minutes, again, represented by that candle, you can see was very, very brutal. Came down, broke through that lower trend line, and then just continued to sink further and further. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete these lines out as they serve their purpose for now. But what does make this interesting is the fact that at this point now, the price has at least started to level off and go sideways. Now, just because the price started to go sideways here at essentially $24.10 does not mean that for sure guaranteed this is the bottom. However, is it plausible? Is it rational to start to think that, you know what, maybe this is the bottom, maybe, the selling pressure is finally gone and now you're going to get some sort of movement in the upwards direction? Yeah, that's a plausible thought process to have. Again, not guaranteed. That's why risk management exists and is important. But again, from are you making random decisions or not random decisions? By no means could anybody accuse you of thinking randomly to think that after the big move down and then sideways action, that maybe it's, forming some sort of base here. So point here being 24.10, going to be that near-term level of support. And then as far as areas of resistance, if there is any sort of attempted bounce, next key level would be right up there around $24.60. So keep an eye on these couple levels. They're going to be very, very important and revealing going forward. It'll be interesting to see which way the price ultimately breaks. Next one, AMC, and also like PLTR, had earnings and was a rough showing after earnings. So a couple updates here definitely need to be made. First update is just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So 43 has been resistance back in the past, and now once again, because the price has dropped down below it, $43 once more going to be that key level of resistance that you're going to want to watch. And then from the overarching standpoint, as far as levels of support are concerned, keep a close eye on that pink line there, which on my chart represents the very well-known, the very famous 200 period moving average, currently valid at, let's just call it 38.50. So in all actuality, there's kind of this big old range here that has been forming and continues to form between these two levels. Again, bottom of the range support right there at 38.50. Top of the range resistance right there at the $43 mark. Again, it did get the breakout of the range, which showed the power of what can happen when breaks do occur. But with the earnings, clearly fell back inside of that range. But that's really the quickest and easiest way to look at that. This does have a range over the past several days. Again, top of the range 43, bottom of the range 38.50. So we'll see how it continues to play out. Next one, NAKD, and this had a monster movement today, big volume, and like I said, price all over the place. Now, as far as, is this a good-looking chart? Is it a bad-looking chart? Very, kind of tricky to talk about from my, perspective from the presentation standpoint, because, well, I mean, it depends. What do I mean by that? Well, if you were some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought right there, and your plan was to buy and sell within, 7 seconds, well, then that, from that perspective, the chart looks absolutely terrible. Now, if you care about the big picture point of view, of course, yes, there was a very big pullback today, but let's actually look at where the lows have been. So there's a set of lows there, set of lows there, set of lows there, set of lows there, lows down there. And if you envision each one of those as stair steps, what do you have emphasis here on? The big picture. Well, from the big picture perspective, you would actually still have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. So the overall trend, even with that massive pullback today, is actually still in the upwards direction. Again, I understand if you're a day trader, then you don't care anything at all about these stair steps right here. But that's what I'm trying to emphasize. There's a big difference between some sort of day trading perspective and then somebody that cares about more so the overarching standpoint. So does this chart look good or bad to you? Like I said, that's all going to be about your perspective going into the trade. Next one, PETZ, big movement here, actually broke through this resistance at 450, which I talked about in a previous video, and got followed through today. So definitely a lot of updates here need to be made. Yes, as of right now, the price is pulling back. But again, that goes to that same exact principle that we were just talking about. is that bad or good for you? Well, I mean, I don't know. If you're a day trader and you bought right there, then yeah, that's not looking so good. But from an overarching standpoint, in fact, there's a very nice technical pattern here that has formed, which is where I want to, keep our focus. So let me get that level drawn up right there as a resistance. Bring this over here. Change that to green to represent more so the support portion. So since that's more of a bullish dynamic, make that green. And then maybe just to make this the easiest, let's just map everything out in the same color. So there's our resistance, there's our support, there is the momentum move right there. So this is what would be known as a bull flag pattern. Now, just because there's a bullish pattern does not mean that for sure guaranteed the price is going to go upwards. But is it valid? Is it plausible to think that, yeah, you know what, this pullback here is just temporary and the price could, recover back upwards? Yeah, that is a plausible thought process to have. Not guaranteed, so make sure you got that risk management in play. But overall, very nice movement, very nice low volume pullback right now. But the simplest way to really just summarize this is that on the 30-minute time frame, there's a bull flag pattern. Next one, RBLX, and what a very nice mover this one was. Of course, it gapped up, and then late day, you can see price came up here and did a very nice break through that resistance trend line there, broke up through there, and up it went from that point. So more of the story here, the breakout has occurred, the breakout has continued, and not just a question of, can this continue to move? And that's really going to be the big question moving forward. So it's not really a breakout play anymore. So if you like to play breakouts, I mean, hopefully you already caught it, right? Hopefully you caught that breakout right there. But if you do like to play breakouts, then you're going to have to wait for some sort of new breakout point to establish itself. If you do like to play pullbacks, well then, yeah, there's plenty of opportunities for pullbacks. The previous breakout point right there, I could see potentially coming into play there right around the 104 mark if you want to be a little bit more high maintenance, if you will, and require even a bigger pullback. Then an interesting level would be down there at the $100 mark. Now, is it going back down to 100? That could cause you to just completely miss out on the trade. Or who knows? Like I said, to be fair, maybe that would be an excellent trade or entry point for a trade if it came back down to that area. But those are really going to be the two main dynamics right there is the pullback. I mean, I suppose in some form or another, if you like to chase momentum, then maybe there's a play right there. But like I said, to me, that's very risky given, like I said, you've missed the breakout. Again, another consolidation breakout point can form, but as things stand right now, that's just not the case. But overall, from a general premise perspective, fantastic movement. The stock moves very quickly. It's got great volume. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of eyeballs watching it moving forward, so I'd say keep it on the watch list. Next one, LCID. Been doing this one quite a bit. And overall, not a great day at all, and this will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched the previous video. And I'm not patting myself here on the back, but I am definitely patting charts and the tool of technical analysis and why I would argue that it's a tool definitely worth learning. But like I said, for those of you that watched yesterday's video, I put in that resistance trend line, and like I said, you can't make this stuff up. Look at the opening 30 minutes. Gap up, look right where it got rejected from, right at that level. Crazy, crazy stuff. The power of charts right there. But price did ultimately, spend that opening 30 minutes with a big pullback. And then as it dropped, I'm going to go ahead and actually adjust this now that we have more data. Seems though the more accurate level of support is now going to be down there right around the $42 mark as you see the price bounce off of it several times here. So $42 remains at a near-term level of support. Also had that 50-period moving average there, that purple line. And then clearly, as already discussed, that overarching level of resistance is going to be that trend line up there. But overall, once again, goes back to the whole theme of, well, what was your perspective going in? If you're a day trader and you bought right there and you're wanting to see the breakout, so buy and sell within 10 minutes, well then yeah, from that angle, the chart looks terrible. But if you care about the big picture of things, everything is still perfectly fine. I mean, you scroll down and you can see very quickly that, yeah, when you look at where the lows are, or if you want to envision those as stair steps, all the stair steps are still progressing in the upwards direction. So assuming you do care about the bigger picture of things, even with the pullback today, the overall chart and the trend is still fully in play. Next one here, TSLA Tesla. Reality finally showed up today in the sense of, stocks just can't go up every single day, which is what it felt like Tesla was doing. Now, days like this does not mean that Tesla is going to go bankrupt or anything like that. I'm just saying that the chart got so crazy that at some point you had to think that there was going to be some sort of pullback. And today, like I said, the chart acted a little bit more human here. So going to go ahead and get some levels here mapped out, get rid of those areas as they serve their purpose for now. But the first key level from a resistance standpoint to watch moving forward, if there is any sort of bounce, is going to be that pink line there, which is the 200-period moving average. And that's just based on a very basic principle that when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. With any sort of bounce to the upside, 1070 going to be that initial area of resistance. So you're going to want to keep a close eye on that. And if the price can get up there, Next key overarching level would then be right up there, right on, let's call it 1105. As far as next potential areas of support are concerned, got to squeeze things down here, and next key level to watch closely would be down there right around the $1,000 mark, which I would assume is going to be not impossible to break, but you got to think there's going to be a lot of people looking to buy. They're just a big round number of 1,000, so keep an eye on that. If 1,000 does not hold up, the next key potential area down there right around the $960 mark. But all in all, let me squeeze things down. You can see that the overall trend is still plenty in the upwards direction. Even with the big crazy pullback today, again, assuming you care about the big picture point of view, everything is still perfectly okay. Next one, LAZR, and this is a very interesting one from a couple different perspectives because there's a couple very straightforward areas to watch. And the first one is that trend line right there. Me drawing that trend line, I'm not trying to sit here and impress you and imply that that's required some sort of very special skill. No, I assure you a lot of people have drawn that trend line. And I say that because when a lot of people are watching the same thing, wondering the same thing, it can, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. It can produce some very dynamic movement. So rightfully so, while it doesn't guarantee anything, as I want to continue to reiterate, it's more than plausible to think that a lot of people are watching that trend line and in their defense, hey, if that trend line breaks, then that would be a breakout, and that could not necessarily, send it back up to the highs, but at least make it a worthwhile breakout from a trading perspective. Potentially put quite a bit of profit in the pocket, especially if, who knows, maybe it does go up to highs, maybe it continues to go through. But to just kind of randomly buy right now, it's kind of just that would be a random buy. But to buy on a break of a trend line, that's no longer random, right? Because it's actually breaking above this trend line that it's had a whole lot of struggles with pretty much the entire day long. And then the other dynamic here that I think a lot of people are going to be watching, especially the shorts, is going to be this area right down there at $20 and thinking, the shorts are thinking, rightfully so, doesn't guarantee anything for them, but it's plausible that, if $20 breaks, then that puts the, price out in this kind of big old gap where there's nothingness until down here at $18. That does not mean that if 20 fails, it's dropping straight down to 18. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that from a short standpoint, they do have some valid thought process in that regard. So there's also probably going to be longs watching that saying, well, maybe I can play some sort of bounce off that level. So at $20, what I'm trying to get at here is going to be a very, very highly watched level by both longs and shorts. So we'll see how it comes into play on Wednesday. Next one, AMD, which I've been tracking quite a bit here. And overall, that opening 30 minutes, like several of these other past stocks, really, knocked it down quite a bit. But it all goes back to the theme, and I'm going to keep it very short and to the point. And I don't mean to repeat myself, but sometimes you just have a bunch of setups that do the same thing. If you're a day trader and you bought right there, and your plan was to buy in, within 7 seconds, and yeah, that chart looks bad for you. But if you care about the grand scheme of things, in fact, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that line for now, as it served its purpose. But if you care about the grand scheme of things, then even with that crazy opening 30-minute pullback, everything is still perfectly fine. You look at these lows and, very clearly, the stair steps are still heading in the upwards direction. So yeah, it pulled back today, but, there's a much big difference in a pullback with an overall uptrend as opposed to a pullback in a situation where the price has already been dropping. In this situation, just, had profit takers show up, but that, the sideways action here just really illustrates the fact that, yeah, profit takers, but then you had all these people absorbing the profit taking, which eventually caused the price to just level out. But again, from the grand scheme of it all, the trend is still perfectly fine, and AMD remains looking like it's a very strong stock. Next one, SNDL, and did this analysis in the previous video, and updates certainly need to be made, especially from the bullish standpoint. This will mean a little bit more to those that watch the past videos, but talked about that red line there of resistance. And you can see right there, late day, got the breakout of that level. So in other words, a breakout has occurred once again. So the main question now moving forward is, hey, is this the start of something bigger? Does that breakout mean that there's more strength to come? Which is a good question to have, right? Because think about it. In order to ask that question, is this the start of something bigger? Well, something first needs to happen in the first place, and that's what happened here with that breakout there. And this is also where the first update comes into play. And this update just based on a foundational rule in charting, as I think I've already mentioned, when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So 71 cents going to be one of the newest areas of support. I'll go ahead and get rid of that. But as I talked about previously, from more so the overarching standpoint, just watch that purple line, the 50-period moving average, and as long as that line, which is going to continue to move higher and higher, hence its name, a moving average. But as long as the price stays above that line, then the bulls 100% are in control of this current trend. And then as far as next potential battlegrounds are concerned, the big one, the golden goose breakout point, as I would call it, right up there at 75 cents. Price still got a bit of a ways to get up there and do battle with it, but you can see right here, quite a bit of track record right around that area. But if the price can get above that area, Once again, no guarantees, but you got to think a break of 75 cents could really produce a whole another wave of momentum. But let's first just see if the price can get up there. But another step was accomplished today with the 71 cent break. But moving forward, it's going to be very interesting. So that wraps up the top 10 for today. Now, if you, like I said earlier, but if you liked what you saw, if you want to now learn more about this tool and how it can be used, how it should be used to build consistency as a trader, then definitely get signed up. The free live online class will be Thursday, November 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely get signed up if you want to learn more about all this. And as far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you would like for me to continue to make these sorts of videos, put in the time and effort to do it, then just communicate that to me by doing two easy things. Hit the like button. Leave a basic comment. Say hi. Let me know the ticker that you traded today. But give me a smiley face. But hitting the like button, leaving a basic comment communicates to me that you enjoy these videos. And as long as I know people are enjoying, I will continue to make them. But again, if you want to learn more about charts, definitely get signed up for the free live online class. And I'll see you here soon. Everybody take care. Have a good one.